Hey, we're gonna bank on this phone not falling down. It's in a very precarious position today. I'm trying something new. So we need 2 blocks and a bolster for practice today. And we will start seated in any way that is comfortable for you. As long as you're upright, find your sitting bones, spine is stacked, whatever your arms and legs are most comfortable doing, do that. Just let your hands rest on your knees if your legs are crossed. That's comfortable for your arms. Palms up, palms down. Whatever works for you, and let your eyes close. At first, feeling into whatever's in contact with the mat, like we always do. Just really settling into your sitting bones, maybe leaning just a tiny bit back and a tiny bit forward, and a little side to side. So you can really find that middle ground. And once that foundation is established, building this upright spine. Creating this structure for deep breath. And for the next 5 breaths, find the deepest ones that you can, both on the way in and on the way out. When you've finished that 5th breath, let your chin lower down to your chest. Bring your left ear to your left shoulder, the back of your head toward the back, right ear to right shoulder. Just a couple, let's say 3 nice big circles starting to the left. Just kind of notice on what you're getting into at the beginning of your practice here. When you've finished with 3 rotations, go the other direction. Just noting what's easy, what's got a little hitch in your giddy up there. And come back to center. If there's a direction that you feel like would benefit from another circle or 2, do that. Find an inhale breath. Inhale, reach up. Pull your elbows down and back. Cactus your arms. Plant your hands behind you. Kind of keep a bend in your elbow. Elbows are kind of pulling toward one another. Chest lifts up, chin lifts up. Then make your way back into seated. So whichever leg is in front, just leave it and walk your hands forward, maybe resting elbows on the ground, maybe not, just going as far as is interesting to you. Find a full breath. Walk yourself back up. Inhale your arms up. Cactus your arms down behind you. Press into your hands, lift your chest. So I don't know about you, but when I lift my chest, I bet you my spine is pretty much just still straight. But it feels different. I feel the pressure in my hands, the opening in my biceps, the opening across the chest. And come back into seated. Switch the cross of your legs and fold forward. Again, to the degree that is interesting to you, find a breath. And come back up. Inhale your arms up. This time, left hand to right knee, find a twist, just for one breath. Big inhale. And exhale, return to center. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, right hand to the outside of the left knee, find your twist. Big inhale, grow tall. Exhale, back to center. Send your legs out in front of you, Paschimottanasana. And let your feet touch wherever they touch, heels, big toes, ankles, or whatever combination of those things works for you. Inhale, lift up. And keep the feet neutral, not a flex, not a point, just let them be, and fold forward. We'll stay here for 2 full breaths. All the while bringing your heart forward toward your feet. And make your way up. We'll find ourselves on hands and knees. Right away, sending the left foot back, keeping the toes and maybe the ball of the foot on the mat, and send your heel way, way back as you send the crown of your head forward. So finding as much length as you can from left heel to the crown of the head. It's kind of this, I don't know, it's not even a push-pull. It's like they're moving away from one another. There is a push in your hands down and forward to get the heel back as you slide the shoulders down away from your ears and reach the crown of the head forward. Could feel a little conflicted in there. Lower your left knee, send your right foot back. Same deal, really extending the heel way back as you reach the crown forward. Slide the shoulders away. Draw the belly in, firm the thigh. Get long. Lower your right knee, make your knees wide. And come into a wide knee child's pose. Find a couple nice big breaths here. And let the body hang between the thighs. Come back up to hands and knees, grab your blocks. One under each hand, back into your tabletop. Plant your right hand on the right block, left arm reaches up, slide the left arm under. Now your other block might be in the way. Get it out of the way so that you can come into this twisted child. Reach your right arm up and tuck it behind. And then maybe sending the right foot back like we just did in the tabletop. Reaching the heel back. Finding as much length in the back of the leg from heel to butt as you can. Lower the right knee, unwind the right arm, sweep the left arm up, and bring the left hand down. And we repeat it on the other side. The right hand reaches up and sweeps down and through into this twist. Find your bind with the left arm and maybe sending the left foot back. Lower your left knee, unwind the left arm. Plant the left hand, right fingertips reach up. And then both hands come back, one to each block. Step your right foot through between your blocks and let your hips sink down and forward, using the blocks for support, maybe turning them up a little higher. If you feel like there's just not a lot of room to breathe with your belly and chest resting on your thigh, if you want to move them up a little higher to find some more space, do that. Focusing on the front left hip. And sending your hips back, lifting your toes up. There's a squirrel outside and he's burying his nut, like just right in front of me. They're not real discreet about doing that. Come back to your tabletop and switch left foot. Steps forward and hips come forward. I did learn a statistic about squirrels that they can't find 70% of what they bury, or some huge percentage. They just completely forget what they've done. So I'm considering following this guy around and remembering for him, maybe guide him in the spring. Hey, you left some over here too. Send your hips back, lift your toes up. And then come forward, back to your tabletop. Move your blocks out of the way. And make your way, let me see the best way to do this. I want to say, so we're gonna have everything handy, but come to your back. Your bolster is gonna come across your mat, under your hips. So we find that psoas stretch. And any way you wanna make your way down. It seems like it's easier to sit on the bolster and then roll yourself down, but it is kind of a big drop, so be careful. Or if you want to come to your back, lift your hips and slide the bolster underneath. Do that, but have your whole pelvis and some of your low back on bolster. Send both legs out. Send them a little wide, like toward the corners of your mat. And then arms overhead. So this is maybe not going to be the hugest stretch in the whole wide world. We're aiming for a little more subtlety. A place where you feel like you could stay for an indefinite period of time. Some place that's easy and sustainable and comfortable. Where you feel that opening across the belly, in the hip flexors, maybe a little bit in the top of the thigh. But not as giant stretch. This gentle opening. And arms are overhead. Find 3 full breaths. Slide each foot back to flat on the mat. Lift your hips up, slide your bolster out of the way. Put your arms back up where they were and let your knees fall over to the right. Come back into center and let your knees fall to the left. And back up into center. So this next little piece, roll to your side and come to seated. Bring your bolster right to your sacrum. And we'll lay down on it to have this lift in the spine and take your blocks. You may or may not want your blocks for support in a recline bound angle. But if there's any pinchiness, hanging, weirdness, discomfort, or if you just prefer to have blocks under, do that. But if it's totally fine with you to leave the knees out wide unsupported, it may feel nice to the inner thighs, but keep your attention on these creases, and if there's anything that's weird in there, find some support. So bottoms of the feet together, supported or not, and make your way down on your bolster. You may want something behind your head for this if you feel like you're tipping back, or if you feel like you're upside down and that's not comfortable for you. Maybe find your arms a little wider or higher. Let your breath be deep here too. 3 full breaths. And then this one's kind of tough to get out of. Maybe undo your blocks first and roll to your side and sit up so that you can move everything out of the way. And come back down to your back. So we will lay out long. We're not in Shavasana just yet. Curl your toes. So you point the toes without pointing the foot. So just squeeze your toes like you're making a fist. And make fists with your hands. Just squeeze, 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 toes, toes, and hands. And then open them wide. So fingers spread wide and toes spread wide. And do that again. Curl your toes without pointing your whole foot. Curl your fingers into your palms. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And open. Spread your toes, spread your fingers. And for a moment, just release everything. Bring your hands up. So let your elbows rest on the mat and have your hands up, pointing up toward the ceiling. Flex your feet, pulling your toes toward you, even squeezing your thighs too. So making your legs super straight. Flex your feet and then flex your hands. Like pull your fingertips back like you're pushing the ceiling up or like you're in a chaturanga. Palms are flat to the ceiling. So wrists are flexed, feet are flexed. And do the opposite. So point your toes and then bring your fingertips down toward the floor while keeping your forearms perpendicular to your mat. So kind of pointing your wrists, like your fingers could touch your forearms. Point, 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 point. And then flex again. Flex, 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 squeeze your thighs. Hands flat toward the ceiling. And point, point, point. Fingertips down. Toe pads down. And then release everything. Find 2 full breaths. And then just slide right into your Shavasana, unless there's other movement that you feel like you want to make. Now that wrists and ankles have had some attention, maybe somewhere else feels like it wants some. And let your breathing come easily and naturally when you wind up in Shavasana. I return to where I never left. Reconnect with that from which I was never separate. Remember what has always been true. When I stop the struggle, I expand into unbearable awareness. There's nothing to say, no you to thank, nor me to be grateful. No altar or supplicant, sinner or confessional. When one of us sings, we all recall the music. Stay as long as you like, or finish out one full breath. And make your way to seated. And inhale, arms up. Pulling hands to heart center. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace.